Introduce is Megan Houchin. She will be talking to you about networking, and then right after her talk, we're going to do a mini networking session. So that's going to be very exciting. And so we can all welcome Megan, please. And all right, and just as a brief intro, oh, maybe not. Okay, so Megan is the Lean Six Sigma manager for the Y12 National Security Complex. Megan oversees continuous improvement and deployment, and in this role, she provides a guidance in a leading complex process improvements, champions lean training, and is influencing cultural change for this site. As a Lean Six Sigma black belt herself, Megan has developed collaborative partnerships, led diverse cross-site teams, in process improvement efforts, and holds an MBA from the University of Tennessee, where she was selected by her professional MBA classmates to receive the Class Leader Award. So without further ado, Megan.
Thank you. Good morning. So everything that was read out about me, I have to use networking for. So in my job as a continuous improvement leader at Y12, it's about 5,000 people out there in Y12. If you don't know, it's in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and that's where we maintain the United States nuclear deterrent to help keep our country and our allies safe. Just up there in Oak Ridge, so come take a visit up and see us sometime. But there we have about 4,500 to 5,000 employees, and we want to create a continuous improvement culture there. But you have to build that network. You have to go out and see people. You have to find out who can influence that continuous improvement culture. So I use networking in my everyday life. Today, we're going to talk about why networking, what networking is. Then I'm actually going to give you some tactics that you can use and practice during our networking session. But first, let's talk about what is networking. And since we've demonstrated we can hear from the back of the audience, let me get some thoughts from you guys. So somebody tell me, what is networking to you? Shout it out.
Build relationships.
I hear building relationships. I hear meeting people. Anything else? What's that?
Saying hello.
Saying hello. That's very nice. That's very nice. I love what you guys said. I really believe that networking helps you build those relationships. And you can build them for a variety of reasons. You could network to find a job. You could network to get to know your community, to volunteer, to make a friend. Most of the time when I'm networking, though, it's not with any specific intent to get one of those things. Most of the time it's out of curiosity, like Barbie talked about. Curiosity to get to know people. And what happens naturally after you get to know people, you establish those relationships, then you can figure out how you can help each other. So now let's think about, where do we network? Okay, give me some more thoughts. Where do you network? Everywhere. Everywhere, I love it, everywhere. Okay, specifically, where do we network?
Work.
I hear work, perfect. Conferences, absolutely. Anywhere else? Daily life, that's right. There's so many opportunities to network just in your daily life. Here's a few that I came up with. So we talked about your community. Most cities have a chamber of commerce that's part of their role, is to network different businesses in the community together. I know in Oak Ridge, our chamber of commerce actually hosts networking events. And so you specifically go there with that intent. We also have United Way up there. You can network when you're volunteering. That's one of the best places to meet people who also have a passion for that cause. You can network in college. I actually have a guy that I went to college with. We're both industrial engineers, and we both ended up at Y12. And we've been there for about 10 years. We see each other a few times a year, but he and I studied together, and just this past month, he and I are actually collaborating on some efforts. He wants to know how he can get his group more involved in continuous improvement, and I have a friend who wants a job in his group. So those connections from 10 years ago in college actually come back around because we established that relationship back then. And the last place I have up here is LinkedIn. Who's networked on LinkedIn before? Let's see some hands. Absolutely. So LinkedIn, we've already talked about, is your virtual network technology that helps you connect with the folks around you. So one of my good friends on LinkedIn, what she does when she's on the job hunt is she'll see who are her connections, that first connection, and who do they know? Who can her connections introduce her to? So it's a great way to build your network. You might also join groups on LinkedIn. Sometimes they have forums where you can network with each other. Sometimes they even host little sessions where you can connect with each other virtually. So all of these are great places to network, but I think the best answer I heard from the back was everyday life. Everyday life, you're building relationships, you're getting to know people. So now I'm gonna ask you to do a little exercise with me. It's called Fist or Five. Fist means I completely disagree, and five means that I completely agree. Then you have numbers in the middle. If it's a 1, please use your pointer finger. Right? There we go. So, how much do you agree or disagree with this statement? People do business with those they know, like, and trust. Fist or five? I see a lot of fives in the audience. A lot of fives, a couple fours. Oh, I see a 1. Thank you for using the pointer finger. Okay, so let me hear from a 5. Somebody tell me why you completely agree with this statement. That's right. It's all about trust. Absolutely. How about the 1? What were we thinking?
Sometimes you don't have a choice. You're forced to, or that's your only option.
Exactly. One of my favorite answers is it depends. Right? I wish I could have just written that on all my test questions. It depends. It depends. I think the ideal state, though, is absolutely that you do business with somebody that you have a relationship with, that you know, like, and trust, who is competent. But sometimes you don't have a choice. Okay, we're going to do another fist or five. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I see some 2s, some 4s, some 3s. Okay, let's hear from a 2. I saw a 2 really high right at this table.
It is important. I would go with the knowledge is my first card to play, that through my experience I've learned that it does matter who you know. So I still bias toward what you know, but I've learned through experience that who you know is also very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think you're right. You have to be competent. You have to have the right experience. But as a hiring manager, if I have 2 resumes that are exactly the same qualifications, I'm probably going to go with the one where I know what they're going to, who they're going to be, what their personality is going to be, if I know they're going to be a good fit with my team. Again, that's our ideal state. So I just want you to think about this when you're going out and you're looking for jobs or connections. If all else is the same, you want to be that person that they know, like, and trust. All right, now we're going to talk about when we meet new people at a particular networking event, at a conference, maybe at a religious event. It could be anywhere. But let's talk about when you meet new people, some things to avoid. So you don't know them. You don't know their sense of humor. Stick with the PG in the first conversation. Also, you don't know their politics. Don't make assumptions. That's something that you might get into after you know and trust someone. Religion, finances, family tragedy, health, life's disappointments. These are not things that we bring up the first time we meet somebody. We also don't like complainers. But really, I think the best rule of thumb is be the type of person that you want to meet. What type of people do we want to meet? Energetic, that's right. I heard a couple things over here. One more time. Friendly, that's right. We want to meet energetic, friendly, positive people. Now, who we don't want to meet, though, is a me monster. Has anyone ever heard of a me monster? Somebody who's all about me? Well, I'm going to pull up a video now. It's a funny comedian named Brian Reagan, and he's going to tell us all about the me monster. Here we go.
I could not quiet off stage. A lot of people don't realize that. I was at a dinner party recently. A bunch of people that I don't know. One guy talking plenty for everybody. Marco Polo speak. He's back with tales of adventure. My story ain't nothing. Maybe it wasn't, because I made the mistake of trying to tell a story about having only 2 wisdom teeth pulled, and I learned a lesson. Don't ever try to tell a 2 wisdom tooth story, because you ain't going nowhere. The 4 wisdom teeth people are going to parachute in and cut you off at the pass. Halt with your 2 wisdom tooth tail. You will never complete one, trust me. I'm trying to tell my story. You know, I had some wisdom teeth pulled. I had 4 pulled. Oh, okay. No 5, no 9. I had 9 wisdom teeth pulled. All of mine were impacted. They were all coming upside down. The roots are wrapped around my tongue, coming out my nose. They were tough. That was a warthog. No anesthesia. They pulled him out with pliers as eating corn on the cob that afternoon. Pin the blue ribbon upon his chest. That knocks the socks off of my wisdom tooth tail. Why do people need to top other people? I've never understood it, and I see it all the time. Obviously, people get something out of it. At best, people wait for your lips to stop. Yeah, you me! You see the difference? You see that? Now I do. What is it about the human condition people get something out of that? That's why I have a social fantasy. I wish I was one of the 12 astronauts who have been on our moon. They must love knowing they can be anybody's story whenever they want. They can sit back quietly at a dinner party while some other person, some me monster, is doing his thing and let him go. Let him run with the line while you be quiet. Let him have his moment. Yeah, I'm a big traveler. I have my business all. I got one global enterprise I got to check. Driving the Autobahn because I keep a fleet of sports cars over in Zurich and I get the Swiss account I got to really check. Not filling the charts, but I might have to cancel that. Runways in Aspen are a lot shorter the first time you go in there. The Pacific Rim Company is going to try to take that over and then I walked on the moon. Well, you have the floor, Moonwalker. You know, you mentioned driving on the Autobahn. That reminded me. Once I was driving in the Sea of Tranquility. In my lunar road. And I, too, was worried about our speed till I remembered, wait, we're the only ones on the moon.
All right. So has anyone ever been in a networking or meeting new people situation with a me monster? Yeah. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves now. Has anyone ever been a me monster? Yeah. I have too. So I think the main thing to take away from here is when you're networking, give the opportunity for everyone in the conversation to speak, to have input, to share stories and bounce off of each other. And do it with curiosity, not with the intention to one-up each other. All right. The other thing I would ask you to think about when we're approaching a networking event, what are you going to wear? Right? What are you going to wear? Obviously, something that feels comfortable. What is it? Marie Kondo says, something that brings you joy, sparks joy. But also, you might consider wearing a conversation trinket. Just something for somebody to say, hey, what's that? So ideas of conversation trinkets you might wear: brooches, necklaces with pictures, pendants. You see I have my UT alumni pendant on here today. So people might say, oh, you went to UT? Yes, I did. Let's talk. If you happen to have a Super Bowl ring, you should probably wear that to the networking event. We have scarves. Scarves are very unique. Bow ties. We have Mr. Pac-Man. We have the periodic table. And the other thing I want to say about bow ties is I have this theory that anybody who's wearing a bow tie must be a friendly, like jovial person. So I'm like, oh, bow tie, let's talk. That looks like a friendly conversation there. I've only been proved wrong once. And I wanted to tell that guy, what are you doing? You're misrepresenting yourself in that bow tie. But all ideas for you to wear to just have somebody come up and say, what's that? And then you're in a conversation. The other thing to think about when you're networking and in conversations is that the roof is your introduction. So if you really don't know how to start a conversation, you just say, hey, what brought you here today? You two are under the same roof for some reason. Figure out what that reason is, and that usually sparks a conversation. The other main 3 topics that I touch on when I'm in networking with new people events, she's usually talking about family. Pets are a big one. Oh, I love talking about my dog, and I run into other dog or cat lovers, and you can just get us going. Hobbies. People usually do hobbies because they're passionate about it. They want to talk about it. And then the other thing is work. What do you love about your job? Tell me about your industry. A lot of people get really passionate talking about work. So it's very easy. Don't have to get nervous. Why are you here? Family, hobbies, and work. And again, we'll get 2 sessions today to practice this. Now, the other very tactical thing I want you to take away is about conversation circles when we're networking. And for this, I'd like to have 4 volunteers, maybe 2 from this table, and you 2, if you don't mind, come up here to the front, and let's demonstrate conversation circles. Okay, I'd like the 4 of you to get in a circle, like you would normally have a conversation, just the 4 of you. So you're in a conversation, talking to each other. Do you guys feel very welcomed into this conversation, or are these best friends that only want to talk to each other? They're pretty tight. Usually people get even a little closer in when they're talking. There you go. So this is typically a networking a conversation at a networking event, because you have to get close because it's usually loud. So this is typically what it looks like. However, I do not feel comfortable or welcome coming into this conversation. So what I'd encourage everyone to do is just you 2 step out a little bit. That's a lot, but that's okay. Is always leave a space for someone to join you. So you just leave a space for someone to join you, and also you can be looking for people to pull into your conversation. If somebody's looking lost or like this, you be that friendly face to say, hey, come on over here and join us. Let's see how it would look in a normal conversation, just 2 on 2 right here. So 2 on 2, okay, excellent. So again, this doesn't necessarily look inviting. Best friends here, they've known each other since kindergarten. But maybe if you just slightly tilt out, like 15 degrees, make it feel natural, but again, this is an open conversation that you can invite others into. Thank you for our demos. Good job, guys. All right. So I'd ask when we practice networking that everyone practices having an open spot in their conversation circles. The other very key thing about having conversation circles is that it's also a tactic you can use to get out of the conversation. Who's ever gotten stuck in a conversation with somebody? Yes, yes, yes. Well, there's 2 main ways that I get out of conversations with people. Politely, of course, politely. The first one is if there's a natural pause in the conversation. That's the time that you can reach out your hand, shake hands. You might also give out a business card, but that pretty much signals we're at the end of our conversation. Shake hands, say, it was great to talk with you. I look forward to connecting on LinkedIn. Here's my business card. Feel free to give me an email. And now we're going to go around and continue networking with other people. So that's one way you can do it. But my favorite way to do it is with conversation circles, is if you invite somebody else into the circle, you introduce them to the person you're talking with. You might help them find a common interest. Oh, we were talking about our pets. Do you have a pet? Oh, you have a parakeet. Why don't you guys talk about your parakeets? You both have them. Well, you guys seem like you have a lot in common. I'm going to leave you to it. Nice talking with you. That's truly the easiest, most polite way to get out of a conversation circle, and really you've done them both a favor because you've helped them network with each other and meet new people. So when we practice, again, this is something I would encourage you to practice, bringing somebody in and nicely excusing yourself after you introduce them. All right. The last thing I'll talk about is following up after you've networked. Now, you don't have to follow up with all 100 people you talk to, but there might be people that you really connected with and you want to stay in touch. One of the things that I do with business cards that's very helpful for me to remember the next week is after someone gives me their business card, I will write on the back of it how to remember them. I met them at this event. This is what we talked about. So it's something that I can distinguish between all the cards I have. I actually did this just yesterday. Somebody gave me their business card, and I didn't do it right away, but after there was a pause, after there was a break, I went through the 2 business cards I had and I wrote on the back of them. And that is a very good way to remember and distinguish who you met. If you are going to follow up, it's helpful to do that within 1 to 5 days so that you still have that fresh connection on your mind. And ways you can follow up, of course, you can email, LinkedIn, phone calls are very special nowadays. People don't do that as often. Or even a handwritten note, which if you write somebody a handwritten note nowadays, how does it make them feel? Like, wow, this hasn't happened in ages. So if it was a really special conversation, go for that handwritten note. So all ways that you can follow up after your networking. So I hope that I gave you a few very tactical things to try. We're about to practice now. What I really want you to try out, of course, conversation circles, keep your circle open. Practice inviting others in and introducing them to your circle. And practice leaving the circle. See if you can do some of those smooth moves during this break or the next breakout session for networking. All right. So without further ado, let's practice.